Camp Park, the training base of the Chicago Cubs. Here are the lineups for today's game. For the California Angels, Kevin Flora leading off, playing second base. Flora at second. Dwight Smith, ex-Cub, in center field, batting second. Tim Salmon, a fine young outfielder, playing right, hitting third. And Bo Jackson in left field, hitting cleanup. He hit a grand slam yesterday. Eduardo Perez at first base. Greg Myers, the catcher. P.J. Forbes at third. Spike Owens, the shortstop. Chuck Finley, a veteran 31-year-old left-hander, one of their most effective pitchers, one of the best pitchers in the American League. He won 16, lost 14 a year ago, will be doing the pitching. Now here is the Cubs lineup, presented by Mountain Dew. There's the Cubs defense at the moment. Batista's on the mound. Marv Cox behind the plate. Zambrano at first. Sandberg at second. Dunston at short. Buechele at third. Galen Hill and Glenn Allen Hill in left. Wilson in center and Sosa in right. That's a defensive picture for the Cubs, presented by Mountain Dew. The Cubs, you know, the umpires today are, by the way, Ed Montague and behind the plate. Brian Gorman at first. Tim DeShida, the other umpire. 3 umpires are on duty. A beautiful day, 79 degrees. Batista's record, good graphic. He won 10, lost 3, earned run average 2.82. Only 1 complete game. There's Buck Rogers, an old friend, the fine manager of the California Angels. Great guy. He had an unfortunate accident last year, in a bus carrying the California Angel Ball Club. There are the umpires that we already have mentioned. There are some people here we want to recognize. First of all, a dear friend of my buddy, Wes Westrom, the great catcher of the New York Giants when they were the New York Giants. Now, of course, the San Francisco Giants. You're getting a look at various players of the Angels. We'll talk about them a little later. But Wes wanted to be remembered to Dorothy Nickerson in Clearbrook, Minnesota, who's recuperating from an illness. So, Dorothy, Wes Westrom wishes you a speedy recovery. Sammy Sosa only hit 2 home runs yesterday. The only reason he didn't hit 3, he walked of the time he batted. And here's a guy who was the most electrifying player in the game yesterday, Sean Dunston. And all this stuff you read in the papers about trading Sean Dunston, even if the Cubs had wanted to. How can you trade such a sensational ball player? Here's Kevin Flora to lead it off. The young second baseman of the California Angels. And Ryne Sandberg back in the lineup without injury. Batista's first pitch. A slider outside. Flora. He has a tragic happening in his life. His young wife was killed in an automobile accident. You talk about pressure, how about that? First you're married, then you're a widower because of a tragic accident. Flora. A little bit inside. Flora played for Vancouver last year where he hit .330. 1 homer, 12 RBI. Bautista. He didn't mean to swing, tried to check, fouled it off. You know, that's the kind of a swing that the hitter will never know what he would have done if he'd gone ahead and swung instead of trying to check it. Now he knows all he could do is foul it off. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Bautista starting a ball game. Little bit low. He didn't do that too often last year. A lot of people think he'll become a starter before it's all over this year. But he is of such great efficiency coming out of your bullpen. Struck him out. Called out on strike. One away. He got to 3-2, and Batista said, well, I'm not going to walk the first guy here. Hit it if you can. Here's a replay on the pitch. Pretty good pitch, caught the inside corner. That hand is for Dwight Smith stepping up there. A popular favorite with the Chicago Cubs. Dwight, I know he didn't like to lead the Cubs. Dwight Smith field. There's a pitch, he fouls it off. Funny thing, this may turn out to be the greatest move that Dwight Smith could possibly have made, going from Chicago to Los Angeles. When you say Los Angeles, you mean Hollywood. And Dwight Smith is a pretty good singer. The recording capital of the world is in Hollywood. There's a long drive, left field, going back. Glenn Allen Hill still running, going, makes the catch. Smith flies out to Glenn Allen Hill in left field. 2 away. And so I don't know what Dwight Smith will hit or feel for the Angels, but you can bet you can be able to buy his album at your record shops. So if you can't make $5 million one way, Dwight Smith's going to figure out a way to make $5 million another way. 2 out, nobody on. Nice crowd here. You know, the Angels now train here. The last couple of years they trained in Mesa at another field, but now they've taken over the field that Seattle used to train at. What's that? Diablo field, I think. San Diablo? Yeah. Tim Salmon, outstanding rookie. A fine hitter. Great home run power. Right-handed batter waiting for Batista. Strike call. And Batista looks very good. Tom Trebelhorn managed the Cubs for the first time yesterday. Strike call. And I tell you, based on one performance, you got to like the way he managed. He was running his players, hitting, running, got the long ball, great defensive play, good pitching. And if they get that kind of pitching from Traxel, boy, lay your money out there on the long odds at Las Vegas for the Cubs to win in Las Vegas, Nevada. That's for Arnie's benefit, in case he wants to bet on the Cubs as a winner book favorite. There's strike 3, and he struck him out. All out on a slider. 1, 2, 3. We go in the bottom of the first, no score. Lineup for today. Willie Wilson leads off in center field. Brian Sandberg at second base. Sammy Sosa in right field. Glenn Allen Hill in left field. Steve Buechele at third base. Eddie Zambrano at first base. Dunston at short. Cox the catcher. And on the mound, Jose Bautista, who was outstanding last year for the Cubs. He relieved, he started, he was a spot starter. He did well in every category that he used that. And the defense for the Angels today, Bo Jackson in left, Dwight Smith in center, Salmon in right, Forbes at third, Owen at short, Flora at second, Perez at first, Myers catching, and Chuck Finley, 31-year-old southpaw, is on the hill. The Angels went down in order. Steve Traxel, starting for the Cubs yesterday, retired 9 men in a row. Bautista, the first inning, retired 3 men in a row. That's pretty good starting pitching. perfection indeed. Line drive foul off to the right. Willie Wilson, the switch hitter. I think he considers himself a better hitter left-handed. He utilizes his great running speed that way. You know, Eduardo Perez at first base for the Angels is the son of Tony Perez. Here's the pitch foul off. Tony Perez is the great Red Star of the Big Red Machine for years. The guy who was allowed to manage just a few games last year and then was fired by the Reds, which was probably the reason the ball club finished so badly. There's Eduardo Perez at first base. And this is his son. Now the pitch, here it is. Ground ball. Up with it, fourth. Easy out. That'll bring up Ryan Sandberg, who had a couple of hits yesterday. 2 out of 2, 2 out of 3. And Rhino really looks tremendous. He's big and he's strong. And he gets a good hand from the crowd, which is around the 9,000 mark. Greetings to Leah Kerr of the Joliet Herald. She and her husband Archie usually cover the spring training games here in jointly, but he's not with her on this trip this year. There's an idea of the crowd. Now the pitch, here it is. Hey, line drive left field. Did he make it? He did tap the ball, base hit. And now Bo Jackson tries in to argue about it. Ryan Sandberg goes halfway to second, but Bo is running in towards the infield. And Bo wants to argue with Tim Tashida. Well, we're going to find out if he's got something to argue about. Hey, he caught it. I don't blame him. He made a shoestring catch. Buck Rogers comes out. And Tashida says, oh, go on back. This is spring training for us, too. We're going to miss some plays. We've been looking at nothing but snowfall all winter long. So, watch it again. See when the ball hits right in his glove. Absolutely. So, Sandberg gets a base hit. Bo Jackson loses an argument, and that's the only thing really he's ever lost. There's Sammy Sosa, who hit 2 homers yesterday. There's Bo. He knew he caught the ball. That's why he ran it. He's a wonderful man. What a specimen. You talk about a physical specimen. Everybody marvels at how he is built so strongly. And of course, can you imagine what he did? And the whole medical profession takes a bow of gratitude for that. Sammy takes a low and away. Finley again. Smooth working left-hander. Big, tall, 6'5". You know, this is strange here. I'm surrounded by Mountain Dew, by swings and misses, by Barks root beer. Could I have a glass of Budweiser, please? Everything but Budweiser, folks. I'm not kidding you. All right, here's the pitch to Sammy. Over the first runner back. Andy McKenna and Stan Cook walking by. Stan Cook, of course, chairman of the board of the Chicago Cubs. There's a fly ball hit deeply in the left center field on the run. A back to base hit. Here's Sandberg going to score. The Cubs are going to lead 1-0. Sammy trying for third. Save! Sammy Sosa tripled the left center. And the Cubs lead 1-0. How about them Cubbies? Watch it again. Low pitch. Boy, you can tell he plays golf. Bounce against the left center field wall. Dwight Smith had a little trouble picking the ball up. Sandberg scores easily, and Sammy Sosa would have been retired, but the throw by the shortstop, Spike Owen, was in the pickup for the third baseman Forbes, and he could not come up with it. It was a triple for Sosa. How about this? Yesterday, Sosa had 2 out of 2, 2 homers, and 5 runs batted in. First time up today, he has a triple and a run batted in. His 3 times at bat in spring training, he's hit 2 homers and a triple, good for 6 RBI. 1-0 Cubs. The outfield. A shade around for Glenn Allen Hill. Below. Boy, I tell you, the Cubs, the only question is their pitching. And you know, teams have won a number of times without really great pitching. If you make enough runs to survive questionable pitching, you can win. There's a drive, foul. I think my present description of the Cubs pitching staff is 4 guys who have proven they can start, plus a committee of relievers. And that's where Bautista is going to come in very, very importantly. Glenn Allen Hill. Boy, what an athlete this guy is, too. Built on the order of Bo Jackson, only taller. Jackson, until his injury, could run faster than anybody. But I think maybe Glenn Allen Hill now can outrun him. Infield in. Half swing. Trying to hold up on it, cracked his bat. And he's going to search for a new one. Dwight Smith in center field. That's the position he plays best in the outfield. Looks like a different ball player in the strange uniform. They all do. Glenn Allen Hill. I can tell he's got a good number of the bats. This is similar in color to the one that he just cracked. Infield in, 1-0. In favor of the Cubs. Sandberg singled on what should have been a shoestring catch by Bo Jackson, but they ruled he trapped it. There's a drive, way back. It might be, it could be. Hey, it is. Holy cow. How about them Cubbies? Chicago. Yesterday we had Sosa hitting 2 homers and Duxton 1. So far today, Sosa's triple. Glenn Allen Hill has hit a 2-run homer. I think he's going to hit this ball with only one hand on the bat. No, he had it both hands on, but one slipped off after he made contact. Buechele. Boy, this is an exciting way to start a new season. We're all bemoaning the fact that the first game yesterday, because it included such heroics on the part of everybody, including the manager, we're ruining the fact that it wasn't on TV. So what do? They come back for TV and put on even a more impressive first inning. Maybe I ought to mention the season tickets are on sale right now. The Cubs are assured of drawing better than $2 million again this year. Bouncing ball. Deep short. Spike Owen can't make a play. It'll go for a base hit. Now this is a ball hit to the right of Spike on. Now he's got to be given a hit because watch. He's falling when he catches the ball, so therefore that proves he cannot make a play. Look at that. So it's a base hit for Buechele. And here is Zambrano. Curveball, low and outside. Chuck Finley said, hey, I've thrown everything I have. I've thrown a curveball, they've hit it. I've thrown a slider, they've hit it. I've thrown a fastball, they've hit it. Zambrano hit the ball well yesterday, flied out twice, and then drove in a run with a base hit. Fouls it off. What a gorgeous afternoon. And our assistant producer, Mandy Cohen, looks at mid-season form. There's a shot of the crowd. They're still coming in. Tomorrow we'll be over in Chandler, but no TV, just radio. Our next telecast will be exactly 1 week from today, next Saturday. So jot down your calendar. 2 o'clock Chicago time, next Saturday. He didn't mean to swing. Flora over to the shortstop, Owen over to first. Safe. Throw. Pull Perez off the bag. So Zambrano forces Buechele. Flora could have stepped on the bag himself. Would have been an easier play. But Owen's throw is off the beam. And here's Sean Dunston. Listen to the hand. Our fine traveling secretary, Jimmy Bank, informs us that Gary Greenberg is watching in Nashville, Tennessee. Nashville. Hey, I can hear the music right now. Dunston takes a pitch and throw. Stolen base for Zambrano. Boy, oh boy, they're doing everything. Hitting the ball, hitting, running, stealing bases. Now watch this play. Pitches outside, and the catcher, Greg Myers, had trouble getting the ball out of his mitt. So the Cubs, already leading 3-0, have a man in scoring position. There's a drive in the right field coming over to make the play. The right fielder, Tim Salmon, to retire the side. 3 runs on 4 hits, 1 left. At the end of 1, the Cubs lead 3-0. But Ron Santo, we already told you about Steve Stone. Hopefully he'll be back by the start of the season. And Ronnie, how about these Cubbies?
I'll tell you, and I said it earlier, Harry, I was really surprised. Normally the pitcher's a little ahead of the hitters, but not these Cubbies, boy. They're just swinging the bat.
And they're getting perfect pitching from their starting pitcher.
Well, Traxel was excellent yesterday, going 3 innings and striking out 2. And, of course, Batista.
Here now is Bo Jackson at the plate. He hit a grand slam yesterday. Boy, what an athlete this fellow is.
You know, I couldn't see if he made that catch.
He did make it.
Yeah, I thought he did.
He made it, and it gave the Cubs an extra run. Curveball outside. That's the great thing about TV. That's why umpires don't like it, I think.
That's right. You know, getting back to Batista, you know, that's quite a story. Think about last spring. He was here as a non-roster player. Didn't know if he'd make the ball club. And then he goes 10-3 with a 2.82 ERA.
You know, I analyze the pitching of the Cubs, Ronnie, as 4 starters with a committee to relieve. And what an important member of that relief committee he would be.
Well, you know, he probably would love to work into that rotation, but losing Scanlon, he's going to have to be that setup man in the bullpen.
All right, Bubba waving. The starting pitchers for the Cubs the last 2 days have retired everybody they faced. Traxel 9 in a row yesterday. And Batista, that record's broken now. And Bo Jackson drives a single up the middle. Bo hit that one off the end of the bat.
Yeah, you know, Bo did hit a pretty good pitch that time. That ball was down and away, and he just reached out there, and he is so strong. You can just see him pop those wrists, but look the way he's running. Yeah. You can really tell that, I don't know if he's hurting or not, but it's sad to see that. But what a job he has done. I mean, last year, 15 home runs or 16 home runs with the White Sox. Made a great play in left field, even though they called it a base hit. Just wish him nothing but the best.
Here's Eduardo Perez, son of Tony Perez, formerly the Red. College boy, I think he went to Stanford, if I'm not mistaken.
Eduardo Perez, and if he can follow in his dad's footsteps, because Tony Perez is definitely going to the Hall of Fame.
Well, another year, he didn't quite make it again.
No, but, you know, I still have 4 years left and keep.
There's a line drive. Base hit for Perez. And men are on, and first and second, nobody out. And Greg Myers, the catcher, coming up.
You know, both the pitches that Bo hit and Perez hit look like pretty good pitches. It looked like a forkball right on the outside part of the plate, and Perez just stayed back and took it right up the middle.
Here's Greg Myers, 27-year-old catcher. With the Angels, hit .255 last year, 7 homers, left-hand hitter. Pitch outside. The Angels got a lot of youngsters, sprinkled here and there with veterans. But you know, Bo Jackson, quite obviously, can't run like he used to run. He was the fastest man in baseball, and he was the fastest man in football.
Oh, boy.
When he first came up. And what a physique. How would you like to try to tackle him head on?
No. No thanks. That would be Batista right there with a good pitch to Myers, a good changeup, and what he's looking for right now is to keep that ball on the ground and get the pitcher's best friend, that double play.
Now the pitch. There's a ground ball, not hard enough for a double play, but an easy out. Zambrano takes care of Myers' ground ball. But Myers has the satisfaction of knowing that the advance is 2 base runners.
That's exactly what he was trying to do, is advance those guys or drive them in.
Here's P.J. Ford. He's not on the roster. Wasn't on the roster.
Buck Rogers. Oh, boy, is it a nice day at the ballpark.
Miss Arizona, 1994. There's a base hit. Down the third base line. 1 run scored. Another run scored. And Ford slides into second base, but he is out. As Sandberg made a quick pass, taking the throw from Glen Allen Hill. A good throw by Hill to Sandberg.
Very good throw by Glen Allen Hill. The ball was just hit right by Buechele. Glen Allen Hill hurrying over there and has a very fine arm, and he showed it this time.
I tell you, there's a pitch in there, a strike ball. The Cubs are well stocked in outfielders as well as infielders this year. It looks like Glen Allen Hill and Derek May will platoon in left field. Here's Spike Owen hitting a fly ball over the third. Taking it is Wooly Wilson to retire the side. 2 runs, 3 hits. Nobody left. We go in the bottom of the second. Cubs still leading 3-2.
We played pretty good yesterday, Harry. We wanted to do a few things and work on a few things, and it so happened that we got the pitching, of course, which we we mentioned on the radio yesterday was going to be key. And if you get some pitching, you can do some things. And we did, and we hit the ball well. And, of course, the home runs, gosh, that was great. And Sean played very well. Very encouraging to see that.
And Traxel, I thought, was outstanding. And, of course, Sosa, he just did what he's always done.
Well, it was. You know, Steve, like we got, 9 up and 9 down and allowed us some breathing room at the start. And we got some guys on base. Of course, Sean got us going. That was a big lift with that home run. But, boy, Sammy really swung the bat well. And I was real happy with the infield defense. A couple things in the outfield, which is a priority this year. A couple things out there weren't exactly the way we wanted them. But it's the first one. We got 32 more. I think we'll be able to iron those out, too.
Darren Cox is flat out. You've heard Tom Trebelhorn, the club manager. Cox on the first pitch fly to Dwight Smith. And here's Batista, who swings the bat pretty good. You know, we're mentioning it's pretty much of a pat ball club other than pitching, don't you think?
Oh, yeah, pretty much. There's a couple openings for somebody to come off the bench. Maybe an extra infielder and maybe one more outfielder. Just have to wait and see if they're going to go with 11 pitchers or not. But it's interesting, Harry, because the outfield, with Glenn Allen Hill in left field right now, Derek May is the left fielder, but he's got a hamstring pull. But you'd like to get Glenn Allen Hill with 400 at bats.
Here's Batista bouncing out. And Kevin Flora takes care of him. I like Glenn Allen Hill, and I tell you who else I like. I like that kid, Ed Zambrano.
Yeah. Eddie Zambrano, what a year he had last year. He was the most valuable player in the American Association. He had 32 home runs, 117 RBIs, and he's been very impressive. He's got a chance to make this ball club, along with Matt Franco, a left-handed hitter that's been a 300 hitter in the minor leagues. And, of course, also Kevin Roberson, who goes both ways with power.
2 men are out. Here is Willie Wilson. Bounced out his first time. There's Mark Graves, who's still suffering a little sore left shoulder, but he's ready to go. They're giving him plenty of time. And right behind him, Jose Guzman. Jose expects a great year.
Yes, and I think he's going to do much better. I think that's a transition to make. You have a big transition to make from the American League and National League. He gave up quite a few home runs last year, I think 25. And right now, Mo Dabowski is working with him, with his mechanics, to try to see if he can get a little more velocity and hide the ball a little better and keep that ball down.
2 men are out, nobody on. See, baseball's for everybody. Infants, youngsters, middle-agers like Ryan and I, and old people. Here's the pitch on the way. Foul back. And there's Arnie's nationally renowned hat of the year.
What a hat to be wearing right here. Believe me, 85 degrees out here, and that's the kind of umbrella you need over your head.
That's not an umbrella.
Well, it looks like an umbrella.
Here's the pitch a little bit inside. Hey, the Hiders and Salsas and Skaggs are all here, and Matt Keating from Covina High School is also visiting his father here. 2 out. 3-2 in favor of the Cubs. Another big crowd on hand.
Oh, yeah, a very big crowd, and you'll see this every time the Cubs play in Mesa. Last year, I think they drew about 134,000. That is unbelievable. I understand with all the Cactus League games last year, there was over 600,000 fans.
Spike Mullins throws out Willie Wilson. And at the end of 2, the Cubs lead 3-2. Mesa. It's time for today's Aflac trivia question in a moment or two. Here's Nelson Simmons, pinch hitting for Chuck Finley. Fouls the first pitch off. Who led all of baseball in batting average last spring training?
I would say
Galarraga.
I'm going to guess John Alderud.
There's a hot shot. Good play by Sandberg. Boy, you were talking about the team defensively. That's one of the reasons that they're so good on the infield. Between Grace, Sandberg, Dunson, and Buechele, it's going to take some to hit one between them.
Well, I'm going to tell you something right now. This is probably the best defensive infield in the National League. A team comparable to this infield is the Giants. But, you know, I was just reading an article about Ryne Sandberg, and the reporter said, well, he has lost a step in running at second base. Well, I haven't seen that. The man is 34 years old, but he's in such great shape.
Kevin Flora on the first pitch singles sharply to center field. One out, one on.
But I do agree with the reporter. This man's in the Hall of Fame, no matter how you look at it. 9 Gold Gloves.
You know, I've said it before so many times, the litany of things he does well. Every aspect of the game, among all the second basemen I've seen, and this is my 50th year of looking at him, in every single phase of the game, he's exceptional. And that goes for running speed, stealing bases, hitting for average, hitting for power, hitting for the team, hit and running. Not only fielding, going to either side, making the double play. I don't know how many categories there are, but in every one of them, you would have to rank him 1, 2, 3.
Absolutely, Harry, and I'll tell you why he has done so well in the major leagues, because he's one of these players, doesn't matter how much money you make, he has work habits every day, the same work habits through the whole season. And that's what's made him the player that he is today.
Dwight Smith takes it inside. Are you thinking about that Aflac trivia question? Who led all of baseball in batting average last spring training? I have no idea. Boy, oh boy, Arnie's used the winter months to come up with these unsolvable bits of trivia. There goes a runner. Swung and missed. The pass. He is saved. Flora steals second. A good throw by Darren Cox, but he had a good jump.
Well, Darren Cox, you know, was acquired in that McElroy deal from Cincinnati, and of course in the minor leagues he led throwing out base runners. He was at like a 43% percentage of throwing out base runners. Now he's got a very good arm, and actually that runner stole it off of Batista.
There's a strike call over the inside corner, and Dwight Smith with a chance to tie the score. The tying run at second base is called out on strikes. A good pitch by Bautista. Smith had given up on it. Then he was inside when it slid it over the inside corner. And here it's Tim Salmon, an outstanding hitter.
A rookie of the year last year with 31 home runs. A couple years in the minor leagues, you knew he was on his way to the big leagues. I think he hit 29 home runs and 23 in the minor leagues.
Yeah, he drove in 95 runs.
Well, last year he hit 31 home runs and 95 RBIs, and he just signed a 3-year contract for $7.5 million. The second year's richest player in baseball.
Big, strong right-hand hitter.
Oh, could he hit?
Oh,
Rod Carew.
My man, Rod Carew.
He was what you call a bad ball hitter. He hit a ball 2 or 3 inches on the outside part of the plate or inside.
Now ready?
Hall of Famer.
The pitch inside almost hit him. I always used to say, Rod Carew would remind me of a Western cowboy swinging the door open into the saloon, walks in, and he said, "My name is Rod Carew." And boy, what a great hitter he was. Over 3,000 base hits. Curveball outside. You know, this Batista sure got a wide array, assortment of pitches.
Well, you know, he throws a fastball that will run in on a right-hander, and he tries to keep it down, of course, and he cuts the fastball. He has a forkball and slider. He uses that forkball usually when he's ahead of the hitter.
Big pitch. Inside, ball 4. And here's Bo Jackson, who singled the center and scored their first run. 3-2, the Cubs lead. Ball game in the top of the third. Another interesting ball game here. Bo Jackson, who actually made a diving shoestring catch of a line drive off the bat of Sandberg, but the umpire Tashida called it a trap play, giving Sandberg a hit, and he later scored on Sosa's home run.
Well,
There's a curveball.
actually, Tashida had very little time to get out to the outfield to see it. That ball was hit so hard, but Bo did make a fantastic play.
Speaking of Bo, here's Mo.
Yeah.
Mo Drabowski.
A new pitching coach for the Cubs, and he has done a lot of work with Frank Castillo on his mechanics, Dan Plesac, Jose Guzman. I mean, and I think what he has talked to them about is really going to help them this year. I noticed Dan Plesac throwing a little harder, that slider breaking a little bit sharper.
You know, funny thing, Ron. Now, here's Mo Drabowski. He's been an outstanding pitcher for years. The only thing that comes to my mind as soon as I see him is a 3,000 hit that Stan Musial got, which came off his delivery
in Wrigley Field. I'll never forget that. I was at third base at that time, and I came up in 1960, and Mo was one of the starters there.
Ground ball. Michelle comes up with it. And I don't know what he said to Batista, but the next pitch retires the side. So, no runs, 1 hit, no errors, 2 left. Bottom of the third, 3-2, Cubs lead. A new pitcher for the Angels. Hey, did you know that opening day is just 1 month away? Just think about it. Just 4 weeks until baseball. Sunshine and good times at Wrigley Field. And did you know that there are great seats available for every home game this season? Call and order your tickets now at 312-831-CUBS. Area code 312-831-CUBS. Or stop by the Wrigley Field box office. Cubs baseball at Wrigley Field. Chicago's place to play. And here is Sandberg leading it off. Hathaway, a left-hander. How about that Affleck question? I'm curious.
You know, I was just thinking, Mark Grace had a fine spring last year. You're right. You're right.
I don't think he led the in hitting, though, did he?
I'm just thinking about it. He had quite a spring.
Well, the fact that Arnie put him in the list would indicate to me he did. Here's a bouncing ball. Sandberg's going to be retired by Favre. All right, who do you think?
Oh.
John Olerud.
Oh, man.
433. That should have tipped off everybody how great he was going to be.
Well, you know, you were right. Arnie put Grace in there. And you said, to the fact that he put him in there, you knew that wasn't the right answer.
Went away. Here's Sosa. He's hit 2 homers and a triple. He's also had a walk. He hasn't been retired yet. 1 out, nobody on. Fastball inside.
Tom Brenneman and I were watching Braddock practice yesterday before the ball game and talking with Sammy, and Sammy was taking in left field in those trees. And I mean up on the tops of those trees. And then I said, looks like you're ready. He says, no, I'm not ready yet.
2 hours later, he was ready.
Boy, was he ever. That line drive, his first home run was a line drive. It was like a clothesline over the left field wall. The other one was at the 410 mark, and just, I mean, at first when he hit it, I thought it was just going to be a fly ball. That ball carried over that fence. And that pitch that he hit was, I think, up a little bit yesterday. Let's take a look here.
Over a 410-foot mark. That's where it went over. Right at the edge of the center field fence. Really hit. 1 out. By the way, Tom Brennan will be along at the end of this half inning with Ron.
You know, I'm really surprised how quick Steve Stone is recovering. I think he just was one day in the hospital and back home, and I talked to him yesterday, and he sounds very good.
Well, if I were him, I'd hurry back myself.
Man's been around, what, he's going to his 12th year?
Yeah. Here's a pitch high, and Sosa still has not been retired. 2 walks, 2 homers, and a triple. We'll pause here for identification.
This is America's #1 sports station, WGN-TV, Chicago.
Caray back in Mesa. Runner at first base, Sammy Sosa, 1 out. Glenn Allen Hill, who hit a 2-run homer first time up, facing the left-hander, Hilly Hathaway. 24-year-old left-hander. 1-4, lost 3 for the Angels last year after spending most of the season with Vancouver.
Let's see if Sammy Sosa's going to be stealing here because he's on his own. There's about 4 or 5 players on their own on this ball club.
Foul ball down the third base line. Hey, you know, even with Wilson, well, Wilson probably could beat anybody in the ball club in the 40-yard dash. Or Rhodes is fast. Either one leading off is fast. Sandberg is fast. Sosa, Glenn Allen Hill
is fast.
The first 4 men are outstanding speed, and then you get down to Dunston, who can fly.
Well, that's it. You know, the key really is Dunston, and he looks healthy, boy. If he can just stay healthy.
Curveball outside.
What he brings to this ball club here, and you know it. I mean, that speed and that power, and that's what we need. Really, when you look at this ball club, the Chicago Cubs, I'll take them with any ball club as far as hitting and defense goes. And what we can only hope for is that guys like Traxel will come forward and a couple other young pitchers.
1 out, 1 on. Now, let me tell you something. A lot of ball clubs in Major League, a ball can be called by the, and Sammy Sosa trots down to second base. Let's see if we can spot the ball. Hard to spot with a left-hander.
Yeah, it's very hard to spot, but I think just at the beginning, if you take that over again, maybe, Arnie, I think he moved his hands when he was set a little bit. He just moved his hands slightly, which is right there, and that's why the balk was called.
All right, so Sosa's in scoring position. Glenn Allen Hill. Warm day, about 80 degrees now with 79 in game time. How come you're not wearing a hat as hot as it is?
Well, we're undercover here. I was thinking about wearing my cowboy hat.
Can you get a sunburn through it too?
No.
No?
And first of all, it's not a tube.
What is it?
It's a real nice hairpiece is what it is. He's getting on us, Arnie.
Yeah. Well, what is it that Arnie has?
What is it that Arnie has? He has hair on his head. That's what Arnie has.
There's a high pop fly on the infield. Spike Owen will make the catch. 2 gone.
You know, that's not as easy as it looks. Arizona sky, they always talk about being so high. And you see so many infielders, outfielders will be dropping balls in spring training, and a lot of these fans think they're just not ready to play, but they don't know how difficult it is. Very, very beautiful, bright sky.
The sky, a blanket of azure blue. Oh, I like to use that word, azure.
Yes, you do. And of course, yesterday you mentioned the mountains in the background.
All right, there's Bouchel. 2 out, a runner at second base. Ground ball right back to Hathaway, easy out. So, no runs, 1 man left. No hits, no errors. Tom front will be coming along in a moment. Harry Caray from Mesa. We're at the end of 3 innings. The Cubs are leading 3-2.
White Patterson Field, Ho-Ho-Camp Park in Mesa, Arizona. Like to send our best, and I know Harry and Ron have already done the same, but to my partner normally during the middle 3 innings, Steve Stone. Stoney, I know you're watching today, and you're flat on your back, but hope you're feeling well. Steve, for those of you that don't know, had back surgery here in Arizona 3 days ago. Probably won't be with us through spring training, but we'll look forward to seeing him opening day, and it's not all that far away. April the 4th, when New York comes to town. Cubs in front 3-2 at the end of 3. And the new pitcher, right-hander Terry Bross. 28 years old out of El Paso, Texas, but the Cubs, they like what they've seen out of this guy so far this spring. See his numbers a year ago. But Bross, a big man, 6'9", 240 pounds. Turns it loose, and it's a little bit low. Leading off the inning, Eduardo Perez had a chance to grow up with this young man. Of course, he is the son of former Reds great Tony Perez, has an older brother Victor, and all of us kind of grew up together in Cincinnati. And there's his second hit of the afternoon. Hill over to cut it off. Perez going to make the turn, and then he'll slam on the brakes with a leadoff single. They compare him to his father in many, many ways. Eduardo Perez last year kind of accelerated since being the #1 pick out of Florida State University, and then they sent him to AAA where he started last season, and he pretty much dominated that league. Greg Myers, the batter. He bounced out to first his first time up, but he got the runners in scoring position to score as it's a strike on the outside corner. He came up after Jackson had singled. Eduardo Perez had singled. Myers bounced out to first, but Jackson went to third, Perez on to second, and then Forbes knocked him in with a 2-run single into left. The big play on the back end of that was when Glenn Allen Hill threw out Forbes, trying to turn it into a double. Oh, and 1 to Myers. Perez a lead, and it gets upstairs. It goes to 1 ball and 1 strike. Want to remind you, our next telecast here on WGN Channel 9 coming up Saturday afternoon. We'll get a look at the terrific young star of the Seattle Mariners, Ken Griffey Jr. In the Mariners game yesterday, Griffey Jr. hit a grand slam home run. We invite you to be with us next Saturday from right here in Mesa. Perez a tying run at first, and it's fouled back. It'll go to 1 and 2. We remember Buck Rogers very well from his days in the National League as skipper of the Montreal Expos. Many believe that Buck Rogers should have never been fired from that team in the first place. A team that generally develops its own stars and then they leave via free agency, but Buck was able to get the young guys to play hard, and be very productive. But they decided it was time for a change, and a short-lived change it was. Tommy Runnels took over. He was fired shortly thereafter, and ever since it's been Felipe Alou. Down the left field line, fair ball into the corner. Hill over to cut it off. Perez on his way to third. They're going to hold him there, and into second with a double is Greg Myers. So the Cubs sitting on top of a 3-2 lead, and all of a sudden that is very much in jeopardy. Bross, his first inning of work, left it on the outside edge, and Myers went with a pitch. Good play by Glenn Allen Hill to get over in time to keep Perez from getting in with a tying run. Here's a man who did the damage the last time. A 2-run single for Forbes, bringing in Jackson and Perez. Eduardo's down at third. Over at second base, it's Greg Myers. Bross in trouble with nobody out. Hit hard into center. It'll bring in a run. Wilson makes a play. Perez tags and scores. On to third is Myers. So Forbes has knocked in all 3 California runs here today, and it is a 3-3 ball game. Plus getting everything up here. And when you do that, you're in big trouble. right down the heart of the plate. And Forbes' job was to get the runner in from third, and that he did. So now Myers a lead run down at third base. One away, and here's Spike Owen. Owen fly to center field his first time up. Owen, one of those Montreal guys. He was there a season ago, but has signed on with California. Took that one up under the chin. That'll get your attention in a hurry. Particularly when the guy throwing the ball out on the mound seems like he's going to punch in the face when he lets it fly. It's 6'9", all legs, all arms. Take a look at this. Good afternoon, Spike. Infield in, 3-3 ball game. Runner at third with one away. Boy, they really shade Owen to go to the opposite field. Willie Wilson swung way into left center. Glenn Allen Hill particularly shallow in left. Sammy over into right center field. Give you a better look at that. See Sammy, there he is in right center. Lots of territory down that right field line. And then Wilson, he's still not in your picture. Hey, Willie, where are you? There he is in left center field. And then Glenn Allen Hill very shallow, and he's in left. For an infielder, it has to be a little bit different playing in on a guy like Spike Owen than when earlier California's infield was in with Glenn Allen Hill the batter. How would you like that feel? Glenn Allen Hill, I don't think he's hit anything soft since he put on a Cub uniform. And you're playing about, 85, 90 feet away from him. Not good. Lead run at third base in this 3-3 game in the fourth. And it's popped up and out of play, so Frost picking up a strike on Spike Owen. Darren Cox came over in that trade for Chuck McElroy from Cincinnati. And I tell you what, you might want to get to know the name Darren Cox. Cubs have brought in Mark Parent to give him a look at the backup catcher spot. But the one advantage that Cox has is that he is a better defensive catcher. Terrific arm. Here's a pitch, and it's into left center field. This will at the minimum tie the game. Wilson won't get there. It falls. Coming in to take the run is Myers, and into second base is Spike Owen. California, its first lead of the game. It is 4-3. 3 hits here in the inning against Terry Bross, and again the pitch was up. Looked like he just hung out there for Owen to just smack it into left center, and Willie unable to get over. So Tom Trebelhorn is going to visit the mound as California is taking the lead on that 2-base hit. Good looking swing there by Spike Owen. Bo Drabowski, first-year pitching coach with the Chicago Cubs, and you know, many may not remember. I know some of you at home do. Mo Drabowski to this day still holds the World Series record for most strikeouts by a relief pitcher in one World Series game. You may remember back in 1966, Game 1. Mo came into the ball game, pitched 6 2/3 innings of one-hit shutout ball. Hilly Hathaway a swing and a miss. Mo Drabowski fanned 11 batters in that game, including 6 straight Dodgers. That also tied a World Series mark. And what a delightful man he is. Born in Poland. His family brought him over, grew up in the northeast part of the country as it goes to 0-2 on Hathaway. And finally, at 58 years young, Mo Drabowski getting a chance to be the main pitching coach for a major league team. 0-2 to Hathaway. 4-3 California advantage in the fourth, and it's fouled away. I was telling Harry he gets all the good innings, all the innings the Cubs score. I come over and look what happens. I think Mandy Cohen might have something to do with that. Or maybe Arnold Harris out in Skokie, Illinois. or young Jose Corneo. All part of our Channel 9 crew all summer. The 0-2 to Hathaway, and it's taken upstairs. Mark Stenzel also has made the trip out here with us. Well, I don't know about any of you who follow baseball religiously, Cubs baseball, but it has been a very short winter. Hard to believe that April the 4th, which is opening day this year, is just around the bend. Runner at second, 1 out, and Hathaway hanging in there. Here's a guy who never gets a chance to hit. Fell behind 0-2, and he's fouled off 3 straight. Cubs got 3 in the bottom of the first inning. California 2 in the second. The Halos a pair here in the fourth to take a 4-3 lead. 4 runs, 7 hits for California. 3 runs, 4 hits for the Cubs. And all 3 runs and all 4 hits came in the bottom of the first inning against Chuck Finley. Hathaway took over in the third. Walked a batter, but no damage done. Tom Treblehorn taking the managerial reins this season following Jim Lefebvre out down the left field line. You know, had an interesting conversation with a number of the Cubs players, because everybody will remember that last September, when the rumors started that Lefebvre could be in trouble, all the players really wanted to see him come back. They made it known publicly, and I'm not talking about just your average players. I mean the guys like Mark Grace, Ryan Sandberg, Randy Myers, as it's now 1-2 on Hathaway. But you know, Randy Myers brought up a great point. He said, hey, that's part of baseball. He didn't make the decision not to bring Jim Lefebvre back. He has a new manager. He doesn't have anything against him for the change, and you have to just suck it up and go play for a new guy. 2-2 now, the count on Bross, or Bross rather, to Hathaway. And I think many of the Cubs feel the same way, and Tom Treblehorn is the kind of guy who is so enthusiastic all the time to be around that it can't help but rub off on you a little bit. And that's the kind of camp it's been. Quite an at-bat here for Hathaway. If you were in a hurry to get somewhere, you probably could have run in, jumped in a quick shower, rinsed off, made it back, and found the same guy still batting. And no, we haven't gone 2 innings. Three and 2 to Hathaway. Runner at second, 1 out. And it's back up the middle into center field. It could score a run. Owen rounding third, and he will make it. Willie Wilson not even bothering to throw into home. So 3 runs here in the California 4th inning. And the Angels have upped the ante now to 5-3, much to the delight of manager Buck Rogers. Take a look here. Hathaway just smacking it up the middle into center field. Cross has gotten almost all of his pitches here in this inning up. And he's paid for it. 3 California runs now on 4 hits and a 2-run lead. Kevin Flora now the batter. And he looks at a ball. Sure that Ronnie and Harry had a chance to talk a little bit about Kevin Flora and the tragedy he's had to deal with in his life over the last year. His mother-in-law, his wife of 17 months, and a nephew were making the trip from Texas to Chandler, Arizona, where the couple had built a home, planning on making their year-round home here in the area. But a tragic car accident. He lost his wife, lost his nephew. Mother-in-law nearly killed as well, but she has come back. But he contemplated suicide. Flora, a very religious young man, said to himself, and at least that was a story here in the paper yesterday, that his religious beliefs were what carried him through. As it's fouled away, he said, if I go out and commit suicide, I'll never be able to join my wife in a better place sometime down the road. Still receives dozens and dozens of cards and letters and words of encouragement. It's starting to get a little bit easier. He says, however, he never wants to forget. That's what people always try to tell you. Oh, just forget about it, or try to forget about it. Pitch outside. It goes to 2-2 now on Kevin Flora. But he's a young man that California has high hopes for. They like to see him win the everyday second base job. They had that in mind last year, but then he got the word about his wife and nephew. 2-2 delivery. Full count. Well, you knew what would happen the day that Harry and Ron get teamed up due to Steve Stone not being with us, and yours truly coming over to work solo, that the first half inning would be about 40 minutes. 3-2 pitch. Got him looking good. Breaking ball right there by Bross. He needed that. Snapped it off right at the last second. And he got the outside corner to send Flora back to the bench. First strikeout for Bross, 2 down in the inning. It has been a 3-run California fourth. And the Angels own a 5-3 lead. Here's Smitty. And yes, we can call him that even though he's with the other team. This is one guy that I personally just hated to see go. Yep, Dwight Smith Field just beyond the left field wall. That's where the Cubs batters take batting practice before every game so they don't beat up this field. What a guy. What a guy. But the financial structure of baseball as it is today, Larry Himes figuring that Dwight Smith would not be an everyday player for the Cubs, and he was in line to make a pretty large chunk of change. Here's a look at Dwight Smith Field, as it's still known as, just beyond the left and left center field wall. I wonder if we could fly Smitty in to sing the national anthem. We did that wonderful story last year produced by Joe Corneo about Smitty and his singing prowess. He cutting an album down the road sometime, and I wouldn't be surprised to see him make it big. Good play by Cox there as it goes to 3-1 on Smith. Oh, we understand the album is out now. So there's a plug for Smitty. He'd appreciate that. Two down, runner at first. 3-1 pitch to Smith. Ripped into right field, a hit. Sosa there to cut it off. Stopping at second is Hathaway. So the party continues for California at the expense of Cubs right-hander Terry Bross. 5 hits in the inning. 3 runs so far, and now you have the meat of the order coming up. Tim Salmon, the American League's Rookie of the Year in 1993. He is on the cover of the Halos media guide, and well, Bo waits next. Salmon today 0 for 1, struck out in the first, walked in the third. 2 on, 2 out. Ball 1 away. Well, other pitchers we're scheduled to see today as far as the Cubs are concerned include Jim Bullinger and Randall Kirk Myers. He did not pitch yesterday. A little bit later on, we'll hear some words from Sean Dunston and Mark Grace. There you see Rafael Novoa signed over the winter as a 6-year minor league free agent. Cubs bringing him in. There's one that'll sneak through into left field. Let's see if they'll bring the runner. Yes, they will. Throw from Glenn Allen Hill, not going to get there. 6 hits in the inning for California against Terry Bross, and his day might be complete. Again, a pitch up and out over the plate. And Tim Salmon nearly knocked in 100 runs last year, his first season in the major leagues. He knows what to do with that. And California owns a 3-run lead. Well, you had the feeling Bross was in trouble right from the get-go. Perez started the inning with a single, a double by Myers. Sac fly RBI. Spike Owen knocked in a run. So too did the pitcher Hathaway. And now an RBI single by Tim Salmon. It's a 6-3 California lead. We'll step out, be back with more after this. Collect all your favorite Cubs players and celebrities on Pepsi Photo Card Days, Saturday, April 16th. The first 30,000 fans attending the Cubs and the Atlanta Braves game receive a commemorative Mark Grace photo card. Compliments of Arby's, WGN TV, and Pepsi Cola. For tickets to any game throughout the year, there's your number, 312-831-Cubs, or you can drop by the Wrigley Field box office. Well, here's our first look at Rafael Novoa. Novoa brought on over the winter time. He'll have a chance to make this team. 26 years old, a native New Yorker. He's been in the Milwaukee system, started his career in the San Francisco Giants organization. Now, Mark Grace unable to play, as you probably know, and he's been bothered with what they are calling a strained muscle in his left rotator cuff. And we had a chance to talk to Mark before the game, and we'll let him tell you about it a little bit more shortly. Matter of fact, we'll do that when the Cubs come to bat in the bottom of the 4th inning. Mark not too worried about it, though. Another jam-packed crowd here today. 8,967 on hand. All our friends are here today. Well, the weather could not be any better so far this spring. I've been out here 2 weeks. I don't think I've seen a cloud yet. Been remarkable. And I'm allowed to rub it in a little bit back to our buddies in Chicago, because I've spent the whole winter there. So I've lived through all the terrible stuff with you. Bo Jackson, the batter. 2 on, 2 out. Bo singled and scored in the second, bounced to third in the third. Smitty having a good time with Sean Dunston, who's playing just to his right. Smitty dancing around at second base, and Novoa deals a strike. But Novoa was appeared in 15 games for Milwaukee at the end of the year. He went 0-3 with a 4.50 ERA after having a very solid year. We showed you the numbers a minute ago in New Orleans. Novoa, look at the runners in the 0-1. Chop foul. It's 0-2 to Bo Jackson. Eduardo Perez would be next. Jackson, the 9th man to bat in what has been a 4-run California 4th inning. Bo Jackson was the kind of guy I think everybody in the world was rooting for a year ago at this time. Battling back from the hip replacement surgery, his first at bat of the season. Hit a pinch hit home run April the 9th against the New York Yankees. Had a great regular season, or a very good regular season. Great in terms of where he started. But then he really disappointed you when postseason came around. I don't mean the way necessarily his lack of production, but coming out and making the famous comment about we're playing a man short. In essence, ripping teammates, questioning the authority of the manager. And he went after a high fastball and struck out. Bo did that 6 times in 10 at-bats during postseason. And the White Sox said, adios. A 4-run 4th. We go to the bottom of the inning. California in the lead at 6-3.
Was doing a bunting drill and picked up a bunt and threw it to third base and felt a pretty good shock in there. And since then, I haven't been able to throw the ball very well. And we just decided to shut it down for a couple of days. The prognosis was a strained rotator cuff, and I didn't think I threw the ball hard enough to get a strained rotator cuff. But they've reassured me that it's nothing to be too concerned about. Just needs a little R&R, and we'll be DHing tomorrow over in Chandler.
And I guess the best news of the whole thing is it doesn't hurt you. You told me yesterday to swing the bat, just to throw right now.
Right, that's all. Swinging the bat is no problem. No pain at all doing that, just to throw the ball. But heck, Steve Garvey played 15 years and didn't throw the ball.
Great line there by Mark Grace. He was a Steve Garvey fan growing up, although his idol as a kid was Keith Hernandez. Very similar players are Mark Grace and Keith Hernandez, both spectacular defensively as Garrett Anderson takes over in left field for Bo Jackson. But Hernandez never known much as a home run hitter, but a guy who knocked in some big runs and had a huge average. That ball looped into left field. Over to cut it off is Anderson. Zambrano making the turn, and he'll stop right there. Getting to that ball quickly was Anderson in left. So Eddie Zambrano is aboard for the second time. He stole a base after reaching on a fielder's choice in the first inning. Zambrano had a remarkable year in AAA last season. He was voted the MVP of the league, slugging better than 30 home runs. And he might get a chance to back up Mark Grace a little bit at first base this season. Well, I know you weren't with us yesterday, but anybody who knows the tough time Sean Dunston has gone through had to wear a smile on their face when he came up for the first time yesterday and clubbed a home run over the left field wall. He was all smiles. His teammates came racing out of the dugout to greet him with high fives and pats on the back. Dunston, after by and large missing the last 2 years, pain-free and ready to go. Hits that one hard into deep left field. This might have a shot. Anderson looks up. Goodbye. Sean Dunston with his second home run in as many games. And yes, indeed, welcome back, Sean Dunston. He makes it a 6-5 ball game. Watch the reaction he'll get from his teammates. Plays this game probably like he did when he put on a helmet and grabbed a bat for the first time when he was 10 or 11 years old. Grace, the first man to greet him. So Dunston, a 2-run bomb, making it a 6-5 ball game. California in front. Still nobody out. We're in the bottom of the 4th inning. That ball fouled away by Darren Cox. Here's another look at Sean Dunston clubbing his second home run of the spring right out over the plate. A fastball, and he hammered it. Oh, yeah, how sweet it is to be back. Cub fans feel the same way, Sean. You know, he said something that was very interesting. They had a big article on him in one of the local papers down here this week. And there's been so much talk about, would Sean Dunston be traded? Would he be back if he's able to return healthy? And you've heard all the stories. And he made an observation, which was something I hadn't thought of before, as Cox grounds out to third. But he said, you know, I feel like I've been traded, only I haven't changed uniforms. Because if you go back to 1991, his last full season playing every day, there are only 2 other players from that team on the major league roster that are still here now. Ryan Sandberg and Mark Grace. So Dunston's had to meet a host of characters and try to get familiar with some of the guys that are around now, including a couple of managers and a new GM. There's a strike to pinch hitter Ozzie Timmons. And coming up in the 5th inning, we'll hear from Sean Dunston about the home run yesterday, as well as being able to play pain-free. Now, here's the guy the Cubs like. See the numbers last season in Double-A. Timmons more than likely will start this year one level better than that. He got jammed with that pitch. Owen from deep in the hole got it. 2 away in the inning. Cubs are down 6-5. You weren't with us at the start of the ball game. Cubs got 3 in the bottom of the 1st inning. RBI triple by Sammy Sosa. Then a 2-run home run by Glenn Allen Hill. Boy, did he hit that ball. California, a couple of runs in the 2nd inning. 2-run single by Forbes. Halos a 4-run 4th. against Terry Bross. RBIs by Forbes, Owen, Hathaway. There's a hit by Willie Wilson. And then a single by Tim Salmon to bring in a run here in the bottom of the 4th inning. Leadoff single by Zambrano, and Dunston homers. We're not even at Wrigley Field, and a family's able to enjoy the ball game on the roof. Now there's a Cub fan. He's already come prepared, knowing what the Cubs are going to do today. He's got the cigar going. That's in honor of Stoney. He's got the hat in honor of Arnie. He's got the glasses trying to look like Caray. And I can't tell whether he has a piece on or not, trying to look like Ron Santo. Ron's taking a beating today. Sandberg is swinging a miss. Ron must have caught part of that. Harry leans over and says, hey, pipe down over there. One and one to Sandberg. Rhino has singled, scored, and bounced to third base. Throw will send Wilson back to the bag. In yesterday's game, Tom Trebelhorn put the hit and run on 4 times. And all 4 times, his players executed perfectly. Haven't seen much of it today. Sandberg drills one way back into left, and the Cubs have taken the lead. Sandberg, his first home run of the spring. So California getting 4 in the 4th. And now the Cubs have stormed back to answer that in the bottom of the inning, and have recaptured the lead at 7-6. Sandberg delighting that young fella. And Hathaway, a lot like Bross, getting everything out over the plate. That one belt high, and Sandberg smoked it over the left field wall. 7-6, Cubbies in front. Yeah, Sandberg limited to just 9 home runs last season after breaking his hand in spring training on a Mike Jackson pitch. But you know, Rhino back healthy this year and pretty much phoned it in. Anywhere from 20 or more home runs, 80 or more batted in. Start looking at this Cubs lineup offensively. And the big question is pitching. How far can the pitching go? But the offense cannot be debated. You get guys up and down this lineup like Sandberg, Grace, Sosa, Buechele, Dunston, Wilkins, Glenn Allen Hill, Derek May. Man, oh man. It could be a fun summer at Wrigley. A little bit low to Sammy. Count going down to 3-1. Sosa an RBI triple, scored on Hill's home run in the 1st inning. And then he drew a walk in the 3rd. Sosa has been on base every at-bat this spring. He walked, hit 2 home runs yesterday. He has tripled and walked today. How about another? And yes, he answers a call down the right field line. Sosa making a turn, going for 2. And he'll slow down there with a double. Sammy with a triple, 2 home runs, and a double in 4 at-bats here in spring training. He had jammed with that pitch, but fought it off down the right field line. There's the strength of Sosa. And he just kind of glides into second base, and he'll lead to a nice round of applause. Coming right into your den. Look out. And a fair ball for Sosa. So Kevin Roberson will take down Sammy Sosa. His day is over. And another great one for the Cub right fielder. But getting back to this Cubs offense for a minute, can you imagine, on days you want to give a Dunston on, you have a guy like Vizcaíno, hit well over 280 last season, terrific year. You want to give Derek May a day off against a tough left-hander, there's Glenn Allen Hill. And here's Hill bouncing 1 to third. It should end the inning, and it does, but not before the Cubs strike for 4 runs on 5 hits, leaving 1. We go to the 5th. Cubs lead the Halos by 1.
Well, I'm just trying to make the team.
Trying to make the team?
Well, I'm just trying to go out there and do the best I can and see how my back holds up.
How is it feeling now? I mean, you've said that it feels so much better now and not as much pain, but I know you have to stretch out and exercise it still quite a bit.
Well, today is kind of stiff, but once I stretch, it'll be a little better and take a couple of hours, and I'll be all right. But I have to work every day. If I miss one day, it felt like I missed a month.
And you've made it very clear that Sean Dunston is the shortstop for the Chicago Cubs.
Oh, yeah, without a doubt. I'm not worried about that. I'm just trying to get myself back in shape. I hope I can be an impact on this team.
Words of Sean Dunston, who today, just a moment ago, clubbed a 2-run home run into left field, bringing the Cubs within a run, and then 3 batters later, Ryan Sandberg took care of that, hitting a 2-run shot himself. 7-6 Cubs as we open the 5th inning. Jim Bullinger now the new pitcher, facing Eduardo Perez, and he lines one of the new second baseman, Jose Vizcaíno. Boy, this guy Vizcaíno, basketball terminology calls him the 6th man. In baseball, at least in the National League, he is undoubtedly the best 5th infielder you'll find. He can play second, short, third. I'm sure he could go over to first, have no troubles there. And who knows, in an emergency spot, he's such a good athlete, maybe you use him behind the plate. But what a year he had last season. And you know what many people don't remember? As you look at the numbers from Bullinger after he came up with the Cubs near the end of the season, but what many people don't remember about Vizcaíno is that Ray Sanchez, knowing Sean Dunston was going to be hurt, Ray Sanchez was given the starting shortstop job, not Vizcaíno. Sandberg's injury gave Vizcaíno a chance to play second base. He did so well the first month and a half of the year that when Sandberg came back, Rhino goes to second, Vizcaíno bumps Sanchez at short and never left. Greg Myers, 1 of 2, doubled and scored in the 4-run 4th inning. Number of changes defensively for the Cubs. Vizcaíno at second base. Bullinger now on the mound. That one slapped to Buechele down at third, and he'll throw out Myers. Brand new outfield. Left to right, Ozzie Timmons. Now in center field, Doug Glanville, former #1 pick. There you see Timmons. Just to his left in center field is Glanville. And then in right field, Kevin Roberson. He ran for Sammy Sosa. Bullinger looking in, now facing Forbes. What a day he's had. 2-run single in the second, sac fly RBI in the 4th. Cubs 7 and the Halos 6 here in the top of the 5th inning. Should be 1-2-3. Glanville drifting back. He is a fine defender, makes the easy play, and that'll do it. 1-2-3 go the Angels, and we go to the bottom of the 5th. Cubs 7, California 6. I tried to talk Harry and Ron into joining me for that last night. Harry and Ron do the dead. Wouldn't that have been something? Well, maybe not. 7-6 ball game as we head for the bottom of the 5th. Cubs in front. New pitcher, left-hander Brian Anderson. All lefties today for California. Steve Buechele, still one of the remaining regulars in the game for the Cubs. He had an infield hit in the first, grounded to the pitcher to end the 3rd. Some big innings in this one. 3 in the Cubs first, 2 in the Angels second. California 4 in the 4th. The Cubs get 4 in the bottom of the inning. 7 runs, 9 hits for the Cubs, 6 runs, 10 hits for California. A Ball lifted into straightaway center. Wade Smith still out there. Oh, look out. He got it. That sun not being blocked at all. See the reflection. He keeps looking up there, and he'll bounce right back at you. Not an easy play. They call it a high sky here in Arizona. And Smitty, we saw Smitty take a tumble or two in his days in left field in the Cubs uniform, I'm pretty sure. One away. Eddie Zambrano knocked in a run yesterday. He is 1 for 2 here today. High into the air and left. See what kind of time Anderson had. He doesn't even drop his shades. 2 up, 2 down. Again, a reminder, our next telecast here on WGN will come up a week from today. Cubs will be right here in Mesa, Arizona to take on Lou Piniella's Seattle Mariners. Uncle Lou Piniella. And we'll get started at 2 o'clock Central Time. Mariners like their chances in that new American League West Division this year. The main competition, many believe, will come from Texas. Here's Dunston, had a 2-run home run in the 4th inning, already his 2nd of the spring. Hit a solo shot yesterday. Brian Anderson has retired the first 2 Cubs he's faced. That fastball missed outside. 2-0 to Dunston. If you'd care to join us over on the radio side, we'll be with you tomorrow when the Cubs travel down to Chandler, Arizona. What a lovely ballpark that is. Lots of lawn area throughout the outfield. You can bring a picnic basket with you, throw down a blanket, and enjoy some baseball in the sunshine. But we'll be there tomorrow over on the radio side, and we'd love to have you with us. Two and 1 to Dunston. That one got the inside corner, a strike. Dunston has to stretch anywhere from an hour and a half to 2 hours before every game. Good contact there, but right at the shortstop Owen. And Dunston legging it out, but he's thrown out at first. That'll end the inning. 1, 2, 3 go the Cubs. We head for the 6th. Cubs leading California by a run. Home run yesterday and another one here today.
Boy, he just looks good. And, you know, I'm sure that Larry Hines and Tom Trebelhorn just hopes that he stays healthy because he's a big part of this ball game. I mean this ball club, because of the fact that he's got speed and he's got power, and he's showing that power.
So Jim Bollinger still on. He had a 1, 2, 3 5th inning. And leading things off will be Spike Owen. That breaking ball in the dirt comes all the way back to the screen. Owen today fly to center in the 2nd inning, had a run-scoring double in the 4th, and then later scored himself when California touched up Terry Frost for 4 runs in 2/3 of an inning. Grounded to the new first baseman Matt Franco, and Owen retired. Whole new infield with the exception of Vizcaíno. Matt Franco, they like him. Ronnie will talk about him here in a second. He's now here at first. Vizcaíno still at 2nd. Ray Sanchez, a new shortstop, and Tommy Shields is down at 3rd. You like Matt Franco?
Oh, I like Matt Franco a lot. This guy can swing the bat. He plays a little third, plays a little outfield and first base, but he's been a lifetime 300 in the minor leagues, a hitter. And we've seen him in this spring. He just makes contact. I think he'd do a great job, Tommy, coming off the bench.
George Fabregas batting for the first time, took over behind the plate an inning ago, and Vizcaíno will throw him out. 2 up, 2 down. While we have a moment, let's step out for a station ID on the Cubs television network.
This is America's #1 sports station, WGN-TV, Chicago.
Tom Brenneman, Ron Santo back in Mesa, Arizona here on WGN Sports. We're in the 6th inning, a 7-6 Cub lead. Ron Santo has gotten used to this weather. He's been here since the first week of January, while the rest of us suffered through the Chicago winter.
You know, it's been great, Tommy. I mean, I got to agree. It's been the best weather in January, February, and, of course, now in March. But I've been back to Chicago a couple times.
Except when you had to be for the Cub Caravan.
Right.
When all of a sudden your toe got bad on you and you couldn't come back.
Right, and my son, Ron, got married, so I was back there. And the Caravan I couldn't make because I had an infected toe. You don't want me to lose my leg.
No, I don't. But
right.
It was just quite ironic that was the week.
Yes,
it was 60 and 70 below wind chill.
It was. I'm sorry about that.
No problem. Long since been forgiven. But
I tell you, between you and Harry, I don't know what I'm doing on TV.
Well, I wasn't going to start in on you this early in the season.
Oh, boy.
But Harry has already made that decision for me.
Yes.
I mean, I have to follow his lead. He's been at it 50 years now, you know.
Yes, he has.
2-2 to Kevin Flora. Line back to Bullinger. Terrific play there. That's all you can do. That's a matter of self-defense. Right back up the middle. Bullinger, 2 perfect innings. We go to the bottom of the 6th. Cubs still clinging to that 1-run lead. For the 6th inning, it'll be Darren Cox to begin things. He's been in there the entire time behind the plate. He's fly to center and bounced out to third. Cox coming over with Mike Anderson, a right-handed pitcher, in the Chuck McElroy trade from Cincinnati.
And Lubers.
And Larry Lubers, of course.
And I was very impressed. Luber's a big man, 6'6", has a good sinking fastball, throws a slider, curveball. I like to see a little more velocity on the ball. Mike Anderson, I was impressed with. Good hard slider, good fastball. And, of course, Cox, a very good defensive catcher.
Breaking ball misses. It goes to 2-1. And, you know, Ron, the Cubs brought in Mark Parent. But I don't think it's necessarily a lock that Parent will be the guy to stay with the club behind Rick Wilkins when we go north. I think Cox has a legitimate shot.
Oh, he has a very definitely a legitimate shot because of the fact that I think Wilkins is going to catch 140 ball games this year. I mean, he's a strong kid, and what a year he had last year. And you need his bat in there. And so what you need to back up is mainly a good defensive catcher. Cox has a little problem with the bat, and Billy Williams is working with him.
Fouled that one away out of play. Now it goes to 2-2. You know, one of the things that's been rather fascinating this year is, as opposed to years gone by, the difference in the Cub minor league system and the approach that the brass is taking in trying to reload or retool this system. Cox will leg it out to first. An infield hit for a catcher. Now there's a rarity.
He runs pretty good, though, Tommy, for a catcher. But I see a lot of catchers come up to the big leagues when they're young, and they can run. But after all that squatting and everything, they'll lose a couple steps. And that's just the ball that he topped. Third base came in barehanded, made a nice play, but Cox does run well and beat it out. Well, this play, as far as the third baseman, he made a fantastic play. This is a do-or-die play. You know it as a third base. When you're charging that ball, you know you have to barehand it, and you've got to come up throwing it. You like to have something on it, so you're hoping that you'll land on the right leg, but sometimes you don't. So you just get rid of it as quick as you can.
But you used to whip that baby over there and take care of the runner. That was never in doubt. That's why you got a closet full of gold gloves.
Well, that's a play that you really can't work on in spring training. You can take a lot of ground balls to your left, right at you, but that play is a timing play. It's a base hit or it's a great play.
And here's another look.
Yeah, here's another look. Very, very fine play, and he landed on the right leg, so he had something on that ball.
Anderson turns it loose, misses high and outside to Ozzie Timmons, batting for the second time. He bounced to short back in the 4-run 4th inning. Cubs lead 7-6. We're in the bottom of the 6th. But Ronnie, before Darren Cox got that hit, I started to bring up this news thing that Larry Himes and Al Goldis have started called the Cubs Accelerated Program, shortened up CAP.
Right. And, you know, it's a program. They bring all their best prospects to spring training along with the big league players, and they work out either in the morning or the afternoon. And I'll tell you something, since Al Goldis has been here, you know, it's been an unbelievable change in our minor league system, and there's so many young players, Tommy, and I had the opportunity, so did you, to see some of these young players. And of course, our first draft choice, Brooks Kieschny. This guy, to me, the way he can swing the bat is a can't miss as far as I'm concerned. But there's another shortstop, Kevin Ory, who's a heck of a ball player. Chad Treadaway, you're going to hear about these guys very definitely. Steve Walker. Then there's a pitcher here that started in A-ball, went to AA, and then to AAA, and that's Derek Wallace. So, you know, there's a lot of prospects. And there's the first baseman that they have in the minor leagues, a Brant Brown, a left-hander, about 6'3", 220 pounds that can hit with power.
Big guy.
Yep.
2 on, nobody out here in the bottom of the 6th inning. Vizcaíno up there to bunt, puts it down. They'll go to third, and it's in time to get the runner, Darren Cox. Well, Anderson made up his mind immediately, because his first look was at third base.
Well, that's the idea. You know, what you're trying to do is get that runner going to third, and that bunt just wasn't hard enough. Anderson off the mound comes up with it. And the one thing that Anderson did here, he set himself and he made sure to get that one at third base. You're not trying for 2 there.
So now Doug Glanville, a former #1 pick out of the University of Pennsylvania.
And this is a young kid that had a pretty good year last year in the minor leagues, and he can go get him in center field. I know that Jimmy Pearsall loves this kid. You know, when I first saw him, you know, he's tall and lanky, and I didn't think he was that strong, but he ended up hitting 10 home runs, so he's got some power. You see him in batting practice, the ball jumps off the bat. He just needs a little more seasoning.
Built a lot like Delino DeShields, long-time Montreal second baseman, now, of course, with the Dodgers. Boy, he had a terrible accident the other day. Runners on the go, and it's into left field, a hit. Rounding third, coming in, is Timmons, and on to third goes Vizcaíno. So another hit and run by Tom Trebelhorn. He put it on 4 times yesterday. All 4 worked to perfection, and here's yet another.
Well, the runner gets going, and that was a pretty good pitch. It looked like a fastball down and in, and it was a hit and run, and a pitch that a hitter can handle. And, of course, big high hopper over the third baseman's head. And, boy, Trebelhorn talked about this, and he said, we're going to be doing a lot of this, and we've seen it in the last 2 ball games. Yesterday, 4 times a hit and run. Once, a run and hit with Glenn Allen Hill at second base. Zambrana was the hitter, and Hill was stealing second. I think it was Sarsoni that was covering third, and that ball was hit right where he was. A very fine play. And, you know, what this does for a ball club, it generates runs.
Well, that's one thing you have to do in the National League. You have to find a way to generate more offense. You're not going to score as many runs. They have the DH over in the American League. And generally, the teams that run a great deal are the teams that have been very successful in years gone by. Not necessarily winning the World Series or even their division every year, but competitive every year. St. Louis, Montreal, Cincinnati for a while had that kind of reputation. But, you know, those teams always, they can beat you the 2-1, the 3-2 ball game.
And you know what it does for that pitcher out there? Even though you got a ball club that's got some power, but you got a ball club that can run also, that intimidates that pitcher on the mound. You know, he's concentrating on the hitter. There's a delayed steal into center field.
And another run comes in. Vizcaíno on the delayed steal by Glanville. He stopped about 3/4 of the way to make sure he would draw the throw.
You know, Trebelhorn talked about this with Harry on his show this morning, and he said, today with an American League team, we're going to do some delayed steals, some squeezing, and we're a lot of hit and running. And then here is Glanville did that just perfectly. He faked it. He kind of stopped there. The ball goes into center field, and he continues on, but he holds up at second base, but Vizcaíno scores.
And with the run, it now makes it a 9-6 Cub lead here in the bottom of the 6th inning.
Boy, this is what you like to see. I know it's early. It's only the 2nd ball game, but Treb talked about this, and it's going to be inbred in these guys' minds.
One on, one out. Throw it back to second gives us the chance to tell you that you can entertain your clients and guests in luxury seating at the greatest ballpark in all of America. We're at a Cubs mezzanine skybox at beautiful Wrigley Field this year. Each box includes 15 tickets, 2 parking passes, and plenty of game dates are still available. Give you the phone number here in a minute. 1-1 pitch. And it's in the dirt.
And Kevin Roberson, the hitter now. Kevin, of course, last year came off a back injury, a herniated disc, was operated on. And last year he was probably a step slower. He didn't have the velocity with his arm. But this year he's healthy, and he's trying to make this ball club. And he's not a bad guy to have come off that bench.
No. That down the left field line to foul. Just ask Lee Arthur Smith Sr. about Kevin Roberson.
Yeah.
The big home run last year in St. Louis.
And you know what you got to like about Kevin is the fact that if he does come off that bench, he's a switch hitter with power from both sides, and that's what you look for. But again, Tommy, I feel that Kevin's the type of player that's got to play every day. I don't know if he can just come off that bench and be happy about that.
Took a big cut at that ball, a little bit too far out ahead of it. And he broke his back. So Roberson having to go get a new one. You know, we were telling you about the skyboxes. I'll give you that number. It's area code 312-404-4155. What a good time that would be. I like the broadcast. That's where the old broadcast booth used to be, where the skyboxes are now.
Exactly. We're way up there now.
Way up there.
A great view.
Oh, yeah.
A great view. Where I'd like to be broadcasting is in the bleachers.
Amen to that, brother. Amen to that. We got to do that, Ronnie, sometime over on the radio side. 2-2 to Roberson. Another throw back. Glanville saw it coming. Cubs 4 runs in the bottom of the 4th inning after California got 4 in the top of the inning. Cubs regaining the lead, and they've added 2 more here in the last of the 6th. RBI by Glanville and a throwing error by the catcher on a delayed steal brought in the 2nd run. That'll get out of play.
Now that pitch right there is very interesting because of the fact that it fooled Roberson that time. That looked like an off-speed breaking ball of some kind or a changeup, and you notice he'll be out in his front foot in the last second. He just popped those hands, and that gives him another shot at another good pitch. So you foul off those good pitches and you hit the bad one.
There's something you used to enjoy a great deal of, Ron. After you finish playing a game, you go out and run for a while.
Well, you have to. That's important.
Well, Roberson went after a bad ball there, and he strikes out.
We used to do wind sprints a lot. You know, we weren't, in my day, of course, there wasn't the weightlifting. It was mainly calisthenics, wind sprints. Get your legs in shape. Once you get your legs in shape, you get your arm in shape. And we did a lot of that.
You know, but back in your day, a lot of you guys, because the money wasn't what it is now, had to go work a winter job.
Absolutely.
Go find a job, a regular job.
Yeah, I definitely did that.
What are some of the ones you did?
Well, I actually worked for Wilson Sporting Goods 1 year, and I did a bunch of things. And then I started my own business at a very young age.
All legal?
All legal, of course. I started a pizza business very young in my life, at age 22.
They used to sell it at Wrigley Field.
They used to sell Pro's Pizza at Wrigley Field.
Bring that back.
They didn't care how it tasted. You know.
So what are you saying?
When I had a few bad days, I used to have a few of those flipped out at me. You know, there's about a 12-inch round pizza. You know, just like. And they used to come out at me all the time.
How did you react to that?
You know, I just picked them up, took them off the field.
There you go.
And reheated them and sent them back in the stands.
Had a little snack. Reheated it back in that luxurious old clubhouse down the left field line in the friendly confines. Hernandez took a look at that one and takes it outside.
Here's another young kid that the Cubs like a lot. Hernandez, the shortstop, fine fielding shortstop, very slick, but also he has good speed and he can play the outfield. Jimmy Pearsall was telling me he had him out there today, and he can go get him. Good arm.
Fouled that one straight back.
And he's got some power.
Cubs picking up Jose Hernandez, 24 years young. Got him as part of that Heathcliff Slocum trade.
Heathcliff's going to be with the Philadelphia Phillies. And, of course, I wish him the best, not against us, but, boy, you talk about a class act.
Good guy.
He's got great stuff. You ask any right-hander, if he could only get it over the plate, the biggest problem was his control.
Runner at second, 2 men out, 2 runs in, 9-6 Cubs lead. Hernandez continues to battle and fouls it away.
Capacity crowd today. Did you know that?
I would have guessed that.
Yeah. I think 8,963.
Get it right now.
67.
Okay.
The capacity here is 8,963, so there's a few standing.
4 standing according to you. Is that right?
That's right.
2-2. It's chopped in the hole. It'll sneak through for a hit. Rounding third and racing in is Glanville. Cubs 3 runs here in the bottom of the 6th inning. Hernandez the RBI. And a 10-6 lead.
Oh, a good curveball, in fact, Hernandez hit in the hole. That ball was breaking down and in, and that's tough on a right-hander, but he got the head of the bat out there and took it into left field. And here you see the shortstop going to the right. Even if he comes up with that ball, it's a base hit for Hernandez the way he can run.
Cubs have reached double digits, leading 10-6. Tommy Shields looks at a strike. Shields took over for Steve Buechele defensively when the Halos batted in the top of this 6th inning.
Now here's the guy, Tommy, that can play the 3 positions or the 4 positions in the infield. And Tommy's a good kid. You know, he's got a chance to make this ball club. They're looking for that extra infielder.
A Notre Dame grad is Tommy Shields. Boy, he loves fighting Irish football.
So do I.
I know you do. I hear about it all the time.
All the time.
You on one end, him on the other.
They should have been number 1.
That was very much debated.
Yes.
And it was a, you know, there's so many ways it could have gone. Notre Dame did beat Florida State. Then those would say, well, you beat them, they should be number 1 if you only lost 1 game. Then others say, well, you lost the next week to Boston College.
Yep. And that was a tough ball game.
Yeah, well, that was maybe the best football game I've ever seen.
I thought it was over when they scored.
Yep.
And went ahead, and then I can't remember how was a minute to go.
Yep.
Something like that. That was a bad day. Oh.
One and 2, the count on Shields. Just missed the outside corner, maybe a little bit low. 2 balls, 2 strikes.
Well, they got a lot of left-handers, California Angels, on this squad. I mean, their first 2 starters are left-hander, Langston and Finley. And then McGrain, they acquired McGrain. He's going to be out for a little bit.
This will end the inning. Shields back to the mound, and that's that. But the Cubs coming up with 3 more runs on 4 hits, an error, and 1 left. Terry back in the 7th through 6. 10-6, Cubs over the Angels.
Buddy Harry Caray with Ron Santo. We're ready to go in the top of the 7th. Otto used to pitch. He's out of the Chicago area. He used to pitch for the University of Missouri. Hey, please. It would be the new pitcher. And Pedre, George Pedre is the catcher as we go in the top of the 7th. How about them Cubbies, right?
Boy, how about those Cubbies? How about Tom Trevelhorn? You know, we talked about this, Harry, and he's doing what he talked about. Hitting and running.
Here's the first pitch by Otto. Swung on. Out at first base from Vizcaíno. And so, 1 out here in the 7th. Dave Otto is on the mound. Out of the Chicago suburban area. And here we have Mike Sweeney. Here's a pitch. In there, a strike call. Mark Sweeney, a left-hand hitter, playing right field, a handsome kid.
Looks a little bit like Bucky Dent.
Ground ball, that ought to be easy. Vizcaíno, 2 men out. Boy, this has been a slow ball game over 2.5 hours, but a lot of action.
Well, the fans love it. They love to see runs scored.
There's Mo Drabowski. And there's Matt Franco playing first.
You know, Mo Drabowski, remember I told you what reminded me of Mo? Of course, I came up with Mo. But Mo was the only pitcher ever to hit Ernie Banks in the head with a fastball. And he was with Cincinnati at that time. And Mo used to pitch inside. And I mean, he didn't mean to hit Ernie, but he did hit Ernie Banks in the head. And I think Ernie was out for about 4 days.
I mean, that's the only time he got hit in the head.
In the head. That's the only time. And
did Gibson ever hit him? I don't think so.
No. You know, everybody's, don't get me wrong, Gibby was very aggressive, but, you know, Gibby didn't throw to hit anybody. He just pitched inside.
Well, if he was going to protect his teammates, he wouldn't forget when they were knocked down. He knocked somebody down in retaliation.
Yeah, he was one of the best at that. And there was a lot of those, all those good pitchers, the Drysdales and the Koufax and the Marisol.
Strike 3. And so, 1, 2, 3. We go in the bottom of 7. The Cubs are leading 10-6. Is it on? LJ, can you hear me? 1, let me hear you. 2, 3. Take me out to the ball game. Take me out to the ground. All right, Harry. I don't care. Hey, Chicago. Root for the team. If they don't win, it's a shame. For it's 1, 2, 3 strikes, you're out at the old ball game. Hey! Matt Franco will lead it off. Mark D'Alessandro. Wants to be remembered to his dad, Barry, in Chicago. Mark D'Alessandro's with the Angels. Here's Matt Franco leading it off. 10-6 favor the Cubs. First pitch foul back. Look, a lot of the fans heading for home now. Boy, oh boy, what a hot sun's been going on today. Huh?
Oh, I'll tell you, there are a few of them without the hats on are definitely sunburned.
Now the pitch, here it is. Fouled out of play. You like this kid, don't you, this Franco?
Oh, I like him a lot as a hitter, and you know, it's just too bad right now. They're trying to find a position for him, but you know, a lifetime 300 hitter in the minor leagues, and I've watched him. You watch this kid. He stays back on the ball as good as anybody, and he uses those hands, and he'll take the ball to all fields.
Look out, inside.
And I think he could accept coming off that bench. You know what I mean? He's not the kind of guy that, sure, he'd like to play every day. But to be in the big leagues and come off that bench and face a few right-handers, he'd do well.
He's only 24 years old, but, you know, you just wonder whether they'd want to have him sitting on the bench or playing every day.
Well, you know, that just depends. He has spent 6 years, I think, in the minor leagues.
Now the pitch. Swung, and he struck him out. Had a good cut.
Yeah, there's Rick. Boy, what a year he had last year. Hit over 300, 31 home runs, 70, I think, 3 RBIs. But what a year. And those home runs he hit were all line drives.
I don't know. They say in baseball you have to do it at least 2 years in a row before they believe you are what you are. And, whoa, nice play. And Sanchez was robbed of an extra base hit.
Well, Harry, I'll tell you about Wilkins, though, as far as I'm concerned. I watched him before he even came to the big leagues, and he's got one of the best compact swings I've ever seen in the game. When I say that, He's spread out. He has a very short stride, and he is so strong, and he has bat speed. And so I think sure, you're not going to hit 30 home runs every year, but I think he'll be between 20 and 30 again this year and have a high batting average.
1 man down, nobody on. I was a little bit disappointed and surprised that they had trouble signing a contract. And I noticed that his agent is the same agent that Greg Maddux had when he left the Cubs. I just wonder if there's something there between the Boris, the agent of some of these players, and the fact that he can't get anybody signed with the Cubs. So, one, two, three, easy out for Sampson. And at the end of 7 now, the Cubs still lead 10-6.
One chose a career.
All I'm doing off stage is just waiting to get back on.
The other chose a family.
Want to change places?
Shirley McClure.
Happy about the way the club has looked these first 2 games.
Well, you know, it's exciting. We've had the home runs, but the thing that I've looked at probably more than anything else is just the movement on the bases, and I think that's kind of sending a message back to our fans in Chicago that we're going to do something more than sit back and look for the home run to score a run. So that's been exciting to me, and the players have executed it real well.
You know, funny thing, they talk about pitching in baseball, but if you make enough runs, you can do with even less pitching than some people always want from their ball club.
Well, I had a long conversation with Bob Verdi on that yesterday, and he was talking about how baseball has gone to more offense determining wins than it was pitching like 20 years ago when Bob Gibson and them were pitching. And today it's scoring runs like Toronto and Philadelphia.
Right. Let me ask you about Rick Wilkins. There's a lot of stuff been written. I think we ought to clarify what happened. He had a tremendous year. He certainly seemed to serve a big salary. I noticed the agent was Steve Boris, and that guy you've had a lot of trouble with before, notably the Greg Maddux case. What's going on?
Well, where we are with Rick is a 2-year player, and in the basic agreement, 0 to 3-year players do not have arbitration rights. That means that the club itself has the prerogative or arbitrary decision to decide on what salary is. It's the only time in the industry to where a team has some control over a player's salaries. We elected to give Rick, I think, a nice raise. Let's put it that way. And he was looking for more, and I think it had a lot to do with some of the signings that had taken place with Diaz's names come up, and he signed a multi-year contract. The thing with Rick was that he wasn't pleased with what we offered him, and then we have the right to go ahead and sign or renewing for what we feel a proper salary is.
So how does that affect the future with him?
Well, the future with Rick to me is, and it's just like, and I told him this the other day, he was a little upset, but, and I understand why. It's not like I don't understand what he's talking about. I do, and I understand Scott Boras. And my relationship with Scott, I think, has been very good. We just haven't come to terms on agreeing on what dollars are, but he isn't a bad guy. He does a good job. But with Rick, it came down to, do we want Rick for a multi-year contract? Sure we do. We'd like to have Rick around for a long time. And that's the same way with Grace, the same way with Sammy Sosa and a number of our players. And until the basic agreement gets resolved, we're not going to get into long-term contracts with anybody. But Rick will be one of the guys we talk about as far as multi-year contract.
All right, here's D'Alessandro, who we're just talking about. His dad is watching the game in Chicago. D'Alessandro's batting here as a pinch hitter. Runner at first, who is Eduardo Perez, and that Perez has looked good at the plate.
That's Tony Perez's
son.
Yeah.
And apparently Tony taught him how to hit pretty well.
I played with Tony in the minor league at Macon, Georgia, when he was right out of Cuba. And
as a kid there,
kid's twice as big as Tony was at that age. Tony was coming off eating rice and beans, and that was about all he had. But this is a good-looking kid. He's a top draft choice with the Angels, and they think a lot of him.
And he's a college graduate from Florida State.
Right.
All right, Jim Williams on the hill. He walked Perez. And here's D'Alessandro now. a catcher for the Angels, Frank D'Alessandro. There's a ground ball, foul down the first base line. I tell you, D'Alessandro is a well-known name in Chicago. I know doctors by that name. I know a lot of other people by that name. I probably know Mark's dad, Barry, but I don't place a Barry D'Alessandro. And Mark is a youngster. He's only 24 years old, a catcher. Hit .296 for Vancouver a year ago. There's a base hit. And Mark D'Alessandro hit the ball right on the button. And runners are on at first and second with nobody out.
Oh, we got 23 hits out here, 24 hits today, Harry.
Well, this is what fans love. I thought that last year's World Series was the greatest I'd seen in many a year.
It was exciting. Huh?
The reason it was exciting, there was a lot of action. They hit, they ran, they fielded, they threw, they made errors.
Right.
And it's so far superior to what people think is a spectacle, a classic, a 1-0 ball game, which may be the dullest ball game you ever go to.
Yeah, the run scoring, there's a lot of excitement, base runners. I still look at the 1-0 ball game when I look back at Bob Gibson. I'm sure you called a lot of them, and they were very exciting to you when you were calling them.
When he pitched against Ferguson Jenkins, it took 1 hour and 35 minutes, and one of the two won 1-0.
Yes.
Here's the pitch. And it's in there for a strike call.
This Jimmy Williams is a guy that pitched at Iowa for us last year and did a pretty good job with us, good enough that we invited him to camp, and we'll see what he can do from the left side as far as competing for a job.
There's a curveball in there, a strike call. P.J. Forbes at the plate, 2 men are on, nobody's out. Forbes defies all superstition, wears the number 13 on his back.
We got Turk Wendell, number 13.
Yeah, that's right. A bouncing ball, too slowly hit to get 2. Going to be tough to get 1. They get it.
Heck of a play.
Nice play from Franco to Williams. How about this Franco? A lot of people like the way he looks.
Well, you know, he came up with us. And
here's the play first of all, Larry. Boy, he almost beat this one out. Watch this play by Franco and Williams.
Yeah, Williams made a nice play on this. He caught the ball behind him. Still, he's about 6'9". Came over, got the bag, and the guy stepped on his foot. It was an excellent play.
So runners are at second and third with 1 out. Does Franco have a chance, you think, to make this club?
Not this year. He'll be at Iowa. He started off at AA last year, Orlando. Hit the ball very well for us. Called him up at the end of the year to be at Iowa.
Whoa! Robertson getting ready to catch the ball, falls down. 1-run score. And runners wind up at second and third. Kevin Robertson racing towards the right field line, getting ready to catch the ball, suddenly stumbled and fell. Watch him. Let's see why he falls here. Whoop. I think he kind of had trouble seeing the ball.
Yeah, I think it was that, and he had his feet tied up. But we all know that's the ball you got to catch. That one right there. That should have been 2 outs, men on second, the first and second. That ball's got to be caught.
So now the runners at second and third. The Cubs lead is only 3.
The tying run at the plate.
We have Simmons, the hitter. Curveball in there for a strike call. So this is George Fabregas, the catcher, a left-hand hitter up there. Runners at second and third. Now the pitch. Swung on, foul out of play. How can anybody even contemplate trading Sean Dunston the way he's looked?
Boy, he looked outstanding yesterday. In fact, the first day that we saw him, we played on an inter-squad game on the backfield. First time up, he got a base hit. Got a ground ball the first time in the infield, threw a one-hopper over to Grace. Grace scooped it up, and everyone said, same old Dunston. And he's taken off here. You know, the thing I've seen, Harry, and I told you earlier, that it looks like he's having some fun. And
yeah,
he hasn't had much fun for 2 years because of the problems he's had. And boy, since spring training's been on here, he's been smiling, having a lot of fun. So And he's an exciting player. He's one of the electrifying players in the National League.
No kidding, no doubt about it. So that leaves you with 4 excellent shortstops.
Yeah, and a lot of people don't know about Jose Hernandez, and that's why you're saying 4. But Jose Hernandez is a guy we got in a trade for Heathcliff Slocum, and he can play. He's Platt can play. Played at Orlando for us last year and hit 300.
All right. He struck that catcher out, and there's 2 away. And Jim Williams, with a good breaking ball, got the left-hand hitter. Watch it. Overcast. Swings and misses. All right. First pitch is low and outside. This is Rod Correa, the second baseman, batting for the first time. 1 run in. 10-7, Cubs lead, top of the 8th. And boy, you wouldn't know the teams without a scorecard right now.
Yeah, we got everybody out there. That's right. A whole new club out there, both clubs. And it's a good chance for all these young guys to get out and play, and Glanville to play, Timmons to play, Shields out there, Franco. It's a great yesterday Franco was telling me how his legs were shaking when he first at bat.
Bouncing ball ought to be out of the inning. Vizcaíno throws him out to retire the side. Only 1 run, 1 hit, 2 men left on base. We go in the bottom of the 8th. The Cubs are leading 10-7.
It's no errors.
What was that, a dentist? Oh, Bill Veck. Bill used to have a shower in the center field bleachers. Cubs are leading 10-7. 10 runs, 13 hits. The Angels had 7 runs, 12 hits.
There he is.
How about that?
Yeah.
Hey, listen, let me ask you something.
He's got his tools on that guy, too.
I saw something I read the other day where you mentioned that you thought your club matched well in your division.
Yeah, I think we do, and you've seen the clubs in our division with, and I say we match well. I think Houston's the team we have to beat. I think their starting staff is strong. They got Mitch Williams in as a closer, but I think Houston, the Cardinals, us, Cincinnati, Pittsburgh, it's going to be, to me, it's a division that I see probably more 500 teams, 500-plus teams coming out of there. I don't think we're going to have a team that wins 97 games like Philadelphia or Montreal did last year, or the Giants or Atlanta. But I think it's going to be a division to where it's going to be very competitive. And I think I like our ball club going into this season in the Central Division of the National League.
And that doesn't necessarily mean that you don't think that your team matches well against other teams in other divisions.
Well, I think when you get to that stage, and if you have a chance to win your division, I think that's extremely important, and I think we're going to be there to do that. And then I think we're going to do all right. Whoever you end up playing in the scenario that comes out of who determines who's going to play who, East, West, or Central. But I like us in our division. We'll take that step first, and we'll take our chances after that. But we're going to be there.
All right, there's Ozzie Timmons leading it off. And the pitch a little bit low and outside. Yeah, Patterson is pitching now for the Angels.
Yeah, Ozzie played at AA for us last year at Orlando, and he's got
good year.
Good year, and he went over to Puerto Rico before he came over here and hit 300 over to Puerto Rico.
Patterson's pitch swung on. High, drive, deep, might be out of here. Going to be caught at the left center field wall.
He's got the power to hit him out of any ballpark, anywhere. He just got under that one a little bit, but he's a strong young guy.
Jim Edmonds went deep, fall down. Ozzie Timmons fly ball one away. Vizcaíno coming up. Nothing out of 1. Run batted in. We mentioned your 4 shortstops. We could say about this one, who's one of those 4 shortstops, or 5 really shortstops.
Right.
He's also your second baseman, your second third baseman.
Right. Yep.
You can play any position, I think, in the outfield if needed. He's a handy man to have around.
Handy man, and to me, one of the top attitudes on the team. I mean, he comes to play every day, works hard every day, tremendous asset to our ball club.
Here's a pitch outside. Billy Williams talking to
Carl Rhodes. Isn't that Carl?
Dusty. I like to call him Dusty. Did you ever hear of a Rhodes who wasn't nicknamed Dusty?
No, that was the only one. This one here's Tuffy.
All right, one away. Vizcaíno winning. Randy Myers. We haven't seen him yet. There's a ground ball up the middle. The shortstop throws him out. Mark Brumley threw him out. Vizcaíno, 2 out.
Yeah, I guess Randy's getting ready to come in.
Can he have another year as great as last year?
You know, everyone, I think I don't know if it's going to be, I mean, last year was a record-setting year. I saw someone predicted he's going to say 49 ball games in one of the stat-type books that come out. If he could do that, we'd be tickled to death.
Here's Landell taking a strike. He batted in a run in the 6th.
One thing, nobody in the history of the game, Eckersley, Thigpen, nobody has ever say 50-50 back-to-back. And I think if anybody that has a chance to do it is Randy. And I think on Randy just because he's such a, you know how big and strong he is. And Eckersley isn't strong like that. And I think Randy just has the physique and the strength to be able to do that, which is, it takes a lot of energy, a lot of strength to go out and pitch like that that many times and save as many games as he did. But I think he might have a chance to do it.
Well, I guess we're going to see him today or he wouldn't be working out.
Yeah, he's going to come in and finish up this ball game.
10-7, Cubs lead. 2 men are out, Doug Landell. Here's a kid out of the University of Pennsylvania.
Yeah, he's the #1 draft from the Cubs a few years back, and we started him out at Daytona Beach last year, went from Daytona to Orlando, hit 300 at Orlando, and we put him on the Major League roster.
There's a tap off the pitcher's glove.
This will be close.
He may beat it, but he's out. Yeah. Nice play by Rod Correa to throw him out. 1-4-3 if you're scoring. We're going through 8. And Randy Myers coming in out of the bullpen with the Cubs leading 10-7. I tell you, Larry, 50 years ago when I was broadcasting, there were never as many changes in the game as there have been today. Here are 4 more guys playing. Eric Yelding's now at second. Randy Myers is pitching. Cologne is playing third. Shields moves over to short. Can you imagine the box score tomorrow?
Oh, it's when you were with the Cardinals, you had the same team, didn't you?
Yeah,
usual Shane Days.
Well, that's the way it was
White,
25 years ago.
They played there for 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 years. They never left. And that's what's going on in our game today, though. There is a lot of change.
There's a bouncing ball. Randy Myers has it over the first.
It's like a big cat. Big cat gets off the mound and makes the play.
So Jim Edmonds tapping the ball to the right of Randy Myers, who made a good play, going to his glove hand side and threw out Edmonds at first. 1 gone. Cubs leading 10-7. Well, I don't know whether Randy Myers picked this spot or not, but the first 2 hitters have been left-handed batters.
Hey, that's that smart manager we got. He's already planning way ahead of time how to use Randy in the 9th.
There's a pitch outside. I think that Tom Trebelhorn, though, has already made his presence felt in the first 2 games of this Cactus League schedule by the way he moves players around, the running type of approach to the game that he has.
Well, the thing I saw today, it was in Jerome Holtzman's column, and it was just a little throwaway item, but Rhino had said, it looks like we're going to have some fun this year. It looks like we're going to be moving. And I think it's very important that the players know that the manager is expecting them to look for signs, double steals, hit and runs, and that makes them more alert on the bases, and they're looking to move. They're looking to make things happen. And I think Tom's getting that to the players. Once the players know that, you got it made.
Mike Sweeney up at the plate. Mark Sweeney Outfielder playing right field for the Angels. 1 out, nobody on. Randy Myers going for a save that will not count on year's record. The pitch. Whoa, boy, he just barely missed the strike zone. Ball 4. And Edmonds gets a base on ball.
No.
Tom Trebelhorn didn't like that call either. And you know Randy Myers did. Myers, an intense competitor. 1 out, 1 on. Garrett Anderson playing left field is the batter. 1 out, 1 on. A high fly ball ought to be easy. Shading his eyes from the sun. Glanville makes the catch. Hey, don't worry. He's a college boy. He had the glasses down. He made sure of that.
He made that one yesterday. You weren't out here to see that catch yesterday, were you? Where he went to the ground and they caught it, but he struggled getting it.
2 men are out.
Harry, I'd like to say hello to a friend of mine. He's in the hospital and he's had some problems in Memphis, Tennessee, by the name of Tom Calvano. He's a scout with me, the White Sox. So, hello, Tom. Hope you're doing well.
There's a Buick game summary. The Cubs leading 10-7. Batista in 3 innings allowed 4 hits, 2 runs, 2 strikeouts. Hill, Dunson, and Sandberg each hit 2 two-run homers. So the Cubs flashed the same game they did yesterday, running and hitting. This copyright telecast is presented by authority of the Chicago National League Ball Club, which has the right of approval of the announcers and is intended solely for the private, non-commercial use of our audience. There's a ground ball. The game is over.
Yes,
the Cubs won it by the score of 10-7. And so, hey, we'll do autographs later. So, Larry, thank you very much for coming up, and let's do it again sometime.
It's a pleasure, Harry. I'll do it again with you later on. Thanks a lot.
Okay. So the Cubs have won their 2nd game in a row of the spring community schedule, beating the California Angels by the score of 10-7. We'll be back in a moment.
I'll see you back there.
The Budweiser playing the game. The Cubs were losing 6-5 when Ryan Sandberg connected with this one. Long and far into deep left field and out of the ballpark with a man on to give the Cubs a 7-6 lead, which they never relinquished. That's the Budweiser play of the day. And we'll be back with the final word in a moment. Our assistant director here in the booth, Mandy Cohen. Our next telecast on WGN will be next Saturday when the Cubs play the Seattle Mariners. Our telecast begins at 2 o'clock Chicago time. Harry Caray from Mesa. Once again, the final score, the Cubs defeated the Angels 10-7. Hope you enjoyed the game. So long, everybody.
Chicago Cubs baseball on Channel 9.